You want to learn English without falling asleep over textbooks? Then you're in the right place. Here, we tell real-feel stories, stories that sneak vocabulary and grammar into your brain without you even noticing. So if you're serious about improving your English in a fun way, don't just scroll. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and settle in. Because this story takes you up a mountain, and then kinda leaves you there. It started with good weather. Sunny skies, just the right amount of wind, and no sign of clouds. A perfect day in Cape Town, South Africa. And for one solo traveler, it was finally the day he had been waiting for. The day he would visit Table Mountain. He'd seen the pictures. Flat-topped and majestic, the mountain stood like a sleeping giant above the city. It wasn't just a tourist spot. It was a landmark, a symbol, something people came across oceans to witness. He wanted to stand on top of it, breathe in that view, and maybe snap a few hundred photos along the way. He left his hostel late in the morning, a backpack slung over one shoulder, a bottle of water in hand, and energy buzzing through his legs. The hike up the mountain? That wasn't part of the plan. There was a cable car for that. Fast, smooth, panoramic. When he got to the base, the line was long but moving. Other travelers, families, couples, even a few joggers all waited patiently. The cable car itself was round, glass-walled, and it spun slowly as it climbed, giving everyone a full 360-degree view of Cape Town, the Atlantic Ocean, and the edges of the earth. He loved every second of the ride. At the top, it was even better. The air was crisp. The horizon went on forever. And the cliffs, they dropped like the edge of a world. He wandered along the rocky paths, stopping every few minutes to just stand and stare. Signs pointed in all directions, one toward the viewpoint, another toward a small cafe, and another leading to a trail called Platyclip Gorge. That one made him curious. He followed it for a while, camera in hand, pausing to photograph lizards sunbathing on rocks, strange flowers poking through cracks, and tourists taking goofy selfies with wide, windy hair. Time passed quickly. The sun shifted slightly. The wind picked up. A few people began heading back toward the cable car station. A voice over the loudspeaker gave a calm announcement, but he didn't catch it all. Something about the last ride of the day. He glanced at his watch. Plenty of time. Or so he thought. He walked further. One path led to a quiet corner where hardly anyone stood. He liked it there. It felt private, peaceful. He sat down on a flat rock, pulled out a sandwich he'd bought earlier, and ate it slowly, eyes on the blue and gold sky. Down below, the city looked small, tiny buildings, cars like ants. Beyond that, the ocean stretched wide and endless. He took a deep breath. He felt full, not just from food, but from the view, the silence, the fact that he was here. And then the wind changed. Cooler now. He turned around to head back. The path behind him felt a little darker. Shadows stretched longer. He checked the time again. Still okay. But just in case, he picked up the pace. At the station, something was off. It wasn't crowded anymore. In fact, it was nearly empty. One worker stood at the gates, speaking to a small group of tourists who looked disappointed. He stepped closer, trying to catch what was being said. The last cable car? Already gone. He blinked. Gone. He looked again. The platform was empty. No cable car in sight. The sky behind the mountain had started to turn orange. The wind had picked up even more. A seagull cried out overhead, circling once, then disappearing over the cliff. One of the other tourists asked the worker something. The worker shook his head, pointed at a trail sign, and made a walking motion with his fingers. A walk. Down the mountain? His heart dropped. No ride. No shortcut. No magic solution. Just gravity. The worker gestured again, calm, but firm. There was only one way down now. The hiking trail. Platyclip Gorge. He stared at the trailhead, heart beating faster. He wasn't dressed for this. Not at all. Sneakers, yes, but no flashlight. No jacket. Barely any water. And the sun. It was sinking fast. He looked around. The others had already started walking. A couple with backpacks. A woman in hiking boots. One older man with a cane. And him. A guy who'd thought this would be a 5-minute ride down, not a 2-hour descent on rocky stairs. He followed. At first, it wasn't too bad. The steps were wide, the air cool, the sky still light enough to see. But as they dropped lower, the shadows grew deeper. The rocks got steeper. His legs started to shake, not from fear, but from effort. The path curved and twisted. No railing. Just cliffs and stone and shrubs. The city lights below began to twinkle. A few birds called out from somewhere far away. And then the sun disappeared. Completely. Now it was dusk. Then dusk became something darker. One of the hikers ahead used their phone flashlight to see the trail. Another had a headlamp, the kind that lit up the rocks in front like a tunnel of safety. He had nothing. He pulled out his own phone. Battery low. Too low to waste on light. He tucked it back in his pocket. Every step became careful. He moved slowly, hands out, testing rocks before trusting them. A few times he slipped, catching himself just in time. His breath came faster. Sweat dripped. His knees burned. But still, he kept going. He learned something on that path. He learned what it meant to really concentrate. To feel every rock, listen to every sound. He stopped thinking in full sentences. Instead, it was all instinct. Balance. Patience. Presence. Time passed. He didn't know how much. But finally, lights appeared ahead. Streetlights. Distant traffic. And then, the end of the trail. He stepped onto the pavement, legs jelly, shirt damp, shoes full of dust. A parked van nearby had the Table Mountain logo. The worker from before gave him a slow nod. He smiled back, exhausted. He didn't say anything. No one did. They just stood there, strangers connected by effort, by experience, by a story they didn't expect to write. Later that night, back in his hostel, he lay on his bed, staring at the ceiling. His legs hurt. His arms too. But his mind, clear. He opened his phone, wrote one sentence in his notes app. Missed the last cable car, but found something better. Then he slept. That was a ride, huh? Or well, not a ride technically, but a journey. And if you followed it to the end, you just practiced a ton of real English, past tense, descriptive language, travel terms, and even emotional vocabulary, all without cramming. That's how you grow. So if you're enjoying this style of learning, hit that like, subscribe for tomorrow's story, and leave a comment below. Have you ever gotten stuck somewhere unexpected? What did you learn from it? Let's hear your story.